All right. So starting off here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document. Go to File, New, or you can just hit the Create New button. For this project, you're looking at 24 inches. And now I got spinning stuff. Why do I have spinning stuff? Let me stop it. Let's see what's wrong. All right, so it's working now for whatever reason. It took it a second. All right, so 24 by 36. That's standard poster size. It's the standard size you find for like Walmart poster frames, that kind of thing. Resolution needs to be at a minimum 300. I generally like to work 600, but I say 300 for this project, because a lot of people working at home, their computers may not be able to handle as much. So this creates what would be a pretty standard picture frame kind of image. So I'm going to find the two pictures I just downloaded. For whatever reason, recent always ends up sort of backwards. Oh, what's going in his name? Decreed. View by, arrange by, do that. So boom. So I've got these two images. All right, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to copy them, copy this one, take it back into Photoshop, paste. And I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to grab her. I'm going to say edit or copy, and then jump over here and say paste. Now, you'll see that they both came in as separate layers. They're very small in comparison. So anytime that you're pulling images off the internet or you're using kind of your own graphics, you always want to use the biggest image you have. That's why it's always important when you're working with clients to make sure that they give you their original documents, their original images. If they email it to you, then they've reduced the size and it's going to pixelate. It's going to be a problem. You don't want to deal with that. So the first thing with these, I'm going to make sure I'm giving them the right size, edit, transform, scale. So you don't have to hold down shift to scale constraint anymore. It auto constraints. So once you get to the size you want, it looks really pixelated. I hit return, it fixes it. And then I'll hide her and I'll come over here and I'll say edit, transform, scale. Again, I would normally just have images closer to the right size just for better resolution. All right, so first thing I want to do is anytime that I'm working a project like this, I will duplicate my originals. Just in case, if for whatever reason I got to go back. Sometimes I will even go as far as to make a folder and put the originals in the folder, then close the folder, and then just say originals. I just spelled that wrong. And then I'll go back in and I can start working on my design. Now today what I want to talk about is layer and layer effects, text layer, being able to create fade layers and that type of thing, having one image blend into another image. What they talked about is the thirds issue. So you can always pull guides. If I went back to my background, I could pull guides and say 24 divided by 3 is 8. So somewhere in the neighborhood of I don't know, something like that. Wait, 8, 16, it should be right there. Wait, am I dividing it in fourths or thirds? I don't know. So I'm just kind of eyeballing the thirds rule here. So you always think about movie posters. If you look at the examples that he showed in his thing, they generally have the text at the bottom that has the director and all of that. You can find that online. You can type your own, whatever. I kind of gave sort of guidelines of what I like to see down there. Have fun with that. That's one of those things where I've had people make posters of their family, movie, life kind of thing or whatever. And they put their family in as people down at the bottom, or they even use them just as actors. So like here, I've got my daughter. So first thing I want to do is I want to talk about masking layers. So if I've got a layer here and I want to transition the whole layer into parts or show just a section of it, like the floating head, I'll go down here at the bottom of the layers palette and I see this white box with a little black circle in it. This creates a masking layer. So you'll see on the layer, on the palette, you'll see now the image, and then beside it, you'll see a white another page. So that's it even says layer, mask, thumbnail. They're connected to each other. So right now, if I was to do something with this and then use the move tool and move her around, the mask would go with it. If I wanted it to be separate, I could just click on it and then I could move the mask around and do it on its own. All I have to do is re-click in between them to reconnect them. Now you'll notice there's a little white box around her picture, and then I can click on this one and the little white box jumps there. That tells me which one I'm doing something with. So a lot of times I'll screw up and I'll be like, why isn't my masking layer working? And it's because I'm on the wrong layer or something like that. So what a masking layer is where there is white on the masking layer, it allows the image to be fully seen. If I paint black, it blocks. Back in the old days of graphics, we had this material we call block, and we would go in, if we wanted to create a movie poster like that, we would use the block, and it was a liquid, and we would paint and block out areas for it not to be photographed. And this works very similarly. So now with that layer selected, there's a couple of things I can do. One, I can come over with the paintbrush and I can adjust the size. That's still really small. That's really big. Somewhere in the middle, that'll work. And then I'll soften the edge up because, I mean, I want a little bit of an edge, but not too much. This is one of those things you have to kind of play with to get it like you want. You can also adjust the opacity of the brush. That allows you to create subtle differences because white completely lets something through, black completely stops it. And then every gray in between there allows a percentage through. So 40% gray lets 60% of the image through. Make sense? All right, good deal. All right, so what's paint on here? So I'm gonna look over here and my brush, my foreground color is white, my background color is black. Anytime you're on a masking layer, it defaults to black and white. So I'm gonna switch it up because I wanna paint with black because I wanna block out some of this over here. All right, so now, give it some of that green. Green's a little stark. I can go back and they're together. Now you look here and you can barely see it because the layer things are always so small. You can see the white and the black. So you get a sense of where it's at. So there's a little section down here that's still white. I can see it up there. All right. If I want to, I can go select all, edit, transform, scale, and it should affect, no, it's just affecting that. I thought that it would affect both. So we'll undo. All right, so that didn't work out like I wanted. So I'm gonna deselect. And so now I have the floating head. Yay. My daughter's gonna get like 20 something and all these files. I'm gonna die and she's gonna go on my computer. It's gonna be all these files of her weird movie posters or graphics or whatever. I'm gonna be like, you was crazy. All right. So now let's say I want to do something here and I want to create a color scheme. Because like in the other one, there's the heads are, what is it, teal? Talk about teal. So if I wanted to, I could go edit, fill, and I could fill the foreground color and make it teal, and then come in and say, set that to color. All right, so now she's teal. I could, if I wanted to, go in, and if I wanted to have that bleed around, I can come in and do, again, painting with a mask. I created a mask on the teal layer. Something along those lines. And if I wanted to create a fill, foreground color, change it to color, oh, not color burn, color. Then I can create a mask on it. And let's say if I didn't want her to be that way. And let's say it's a little more yellow than I wanted to give it. I could always drop the opacity down. Now, I'm going to stop my video for a second, stop recording.